How do there, guys? Welcome back to Edgar TV Live. End of the week dart show, episode 2, where we sit and chat through darts for a little bit. I'm just noticing on your camera, Zach, that you're coming in a little bit low. As if, like, yeah, there we go. As in, like, look, I'm in the same room so I can speak to him. Yeah, you just, you could just literally see your chin.
You told me beforehand.
You look like a very small child. Just peering over, well...
Yeah, that's normal.
Yeah. I don't know what's different about that. You could just literally just see your head.
Yeah, I could just see it catching up that.
Just peering over the top, like. We are live, aren't we? I've done this before where we haven't
Yeah, no, we are definitely live.
How do, guys? How do Ethan, Sophia Brush, Daniel, Tristan, Bosch, Jamie, Max, Ryan. Jamie, sorry, said, is there any FPL tips this week?
Ooh.
Yes. I think Lukaku is essential, to be honest. I think you've got to have Lukaku. I'm wildcarding this week, though, so you're going to see a completely different Edgar TV. We'll get to that at the end. We'll have a bit of FPL chat at the end. How do, Martin? Hope all's well. Matthew Macy. How do as well? Welcome to the stream.
Oh wow!
I'm not very good at pronouncing names,
We'll
so
just call him Nut.
Mr. K, because he's got a big K on his letter there. I do apologise. It's not. I'm just terrible at reading names, so I've absolutely annihilated some names in the past. You're on FP, aren't you? I've gave you a few tips for this week.
Yeah, I mean I had to wildcard pretty early because I had lots of injuries, but I'm enjoying it. You know, I think it's mainly because you're doing it. I kind of want to keep up, so I think I've took it quite seriously this year, and you've been giving me a few tips. But
yeah. It's the wild card week. It's got to be. There's too many injuries this week, isn't there? So it's got to be wild cards this week for people on those. Henry, how do to you? Buster, how do?
Buster.
There used to be a little toy dog when I was growing up. He used to be called Buster, and he used to wear boxing gloves, and he had red shorts on. Does anyone remember him?
Remember Hong Kong Fooey, but not Buster. Hong Kong Fooey.
Yeah, I brought Lukaku in. I've got Melie in goal now. I'm not going to give it all away.
Well, they can see anyway.
They can't till
they
deadlines.
Can't.
No. No one can see your team for that weekend until the deadline's gone past. For
it's
that
tomorrow,
week.
Isn't it?
Yeah, and the deadline's tomorrow. So, be a good week on that. So yeah, as the room's filling up and we get going, people will probably come and join us for some chat. As you saw last week, one of the things I'm going to be doing is I'm going to clip this down as well. So things that we're talking about, I'm going to clip in. If you've got anything you would like us to discuss, jump on Twitter or Instagram, use hashtag EdgarTV, and we'll try and pick up those questions throughout the week. We'll bring them up as well on this, and like I said, we'll clip them down and we'll put them in so people can watch back the topics that we talk about, and obviously we'll pull you guys in as well, which is going to be good.
I love you, Dark Horse.
Yeah.
I love you so
Hello,
much.
Nay.
My name's not Nay.
So Zach, as always, is going to fire some topics over for us to discuss, and we're just going to chat through them, and then like I say, we'll clip them and put them on the channel.
Indeed, and first up, I think something that I personally really enjoyed, and I think definitely if you're following darts on Twitter, the women's series was probably for me the most watched it's ever been. I felt really involved. I guess it kind of felt almost like the Pro Tour, but for me the standouts was this new rivalry that formed between, well, I guess it's always been there, but Fallon and Lisa Ashton were just battling it out for the title almost every day.
Yeah.
It was absolutely incredible, and I think there's always been this divide between Lisa and Fallon, because obviously Lisa was the first one to win our tour card. She's been at top level for a very long time, and then obviously Fallon did it on the main stage, got access to the series events. She obviously, we spoke about it last week, she made the final of the Nordic Darts Masters, and they were both just going at it all week, and I think it was the last day, I think it was like the Grand Slam spot came to like £50. I think if it was like
It was
if
close.
Lisa won, there was £50 in it, but if Fallon won, then she'd go clear by a fair bit, and it was just mad. What did you sort of think of the rivalry match? All I saw on Darts Twitter was Fallon, Lisa, Fallon, Lisa.
That's literally all it's ever been since Lisa got a tour card, and you know they both achieved big things in darts so close to each other. So rightly or wrongly, they're always going to be compared, and people will side with one rather than the other. The issue that I think it's caused is what we touched on last week, where we said that the ladies darts revolution, whatever you want to call it, the ladies darts development, whatever we're doing here, in what they're trying to achieve with these women's series is to try and get more women playing darts. I'm not 100% that this is achieving that, on the basis that Lisa and Fallon steal the show completely. Now, it is a great rivalry, and it could go down as one of the best rivalries in darts as it moves forward, because they're both trying to be that flagship, which is something that hasn't come around before. Normally it's who's the world number one, who's the world champion, things like that. These two are battling away to try and take this position, and this is a position that hasn't really been there before. These opportunities haven't been there, so it's who's going to take it. So that's a really exciting thing. I do think it deters a little bit from the bigger picture, and I mentioned last week, I said about how the difference between the top ladies is a bit off-putting to the average lady. And what I've done, because I knew you were going to bring this question up here, is I've pre-prepared, and what I've done is I've got,
unusual for you,
I've got here the women's stats and the averages from the women's series. And we're just going to go through them here. So if you look here, the top 10. I mean, even in the top 10, you can see a massive difference. Fallon and Lisa in those mid-80s, and 10th place is a 71. So even in the top 10, we've already got... I mean, you put an 85 against a 71, there's only one winner. So even looking in the top 10 here, we're already starting to see it as a very sort of pull-away, breakaway thing at the top end. An interesting thing is when you look at how many players took part in the event. 69 players took part in the event, so we'll round that up to 70, and we'll say the midpoint is a 35. So rank number 35 is your midway point. So if you want to be sort of competitive, you know, winning some games, you know, sort of just getting maybe a few more wins than the losses, depending on the draw, see how that goes. 35th place is a 60.62. Which I just think that essentially, if these women here that are, you know, in the 50s, the 40s, if these now look at it and go, well, actually, that's not for me. There's nothing there for me. I'm going to stay. I'm going to try and get into the county team, and I'm going to try and develop that way a little bit, because. You know, we look at the bottom end, we've got 40s, we've got 50s. That cannot compete with that high end. And I just think that maybe the way forward for this isn't so much this, what we've got at the moment. Let me pull this off here. I think maybe the way forward for this is like what we see over in Germany with the German Super League, or maybe even what we see in terms of the JDC, where they've got this extra developmental period where they've got like the top 16. Maybe this is a case that we've got 8 women who can develop and excel, but it's not going to develop them being in that pot, and it's certainly going to drop numbers off, because those lower ranked players are just going to stop going, because this isn't cheap. You know, they're not doing this for free. This is expensive, and I just think that they're going to, you know, I think it's going to discourage a little bit, because that rivalry is so good and so strong and so mainstream. And like you said, look at social media this week, it was all discussing that. I do think that we're going to lose the numbers and the volume if we have to compete with that elite level.
You're sort of saying take the top 8 out to even up the field overall, and then it becomes more of a competitive place for darts. Is that what you?
Exactly. There needs to be a development ground for the ladies' darts, but there also needs to be elite competition. And
because it's kind of when you go to a pub tournament and you've got someone like I guess locally around here, you got Ricky Evans there, and you think, oh, bloody hell.
Yeah, like
No,
if there was a
I
pub
wouldn't
competition
that.
on,
Yeah.
great example. If there was a competition on down the local bar now, and let's think who's local. If I turned up, Ted Everts, Ricky Evans, David Pallett, who else is local around here? Kevin Painter. If we turned up, the players that are going because they want to take part and be sociable and participate go, there's no point in me going to that because I've not that I've got a chance of winning the event, but I'd like to at least feel like I'm being competitive. There's no point in me going to that.
Well, guess,
so the numbers drop off.
I guess there's a mix because at a certain level, if you're feeling okay, you want to go and play them. But I think to get those people in that are unsure, I think it then puts them down another peg. They say, well, I might go along, and then, oh, Ricky Evans is going, but I don't want to, there's no way I'm going to win. I'm not going to bother going. But you've got that other element of the people that are developing and going, oh, yeah, this is a great chance. Let's get down there and hopefully play them in the final or whatever.
Yeah, Dark Horse has said about the WDF and their World Championships and what the prize money split and thing. The prize money split's quite good, and I'm certainly impressed in terms of what they've managed to raise for that. I did expect the men's World Champion for their side to be taking around £50,000. I think I said that last week, and that is what we're seeing in relation to that. So I think that's a great thing for, again, the ladies to work and developing. Obviously, Lisa Ashton cannot take part in that field because she's got a tour card, so she's unable to take part in that. So realistically, with what we're seeing at the moment, it should be a Fallon win. But obviously we know Suzuki.
Suzuki. Dita started playing really well.
Trina had a couple of moments.
Yeah.
So
I'm saying there, people like Joe Locke. I mean, Rhiannon O'Sullivan played well. I saw her name pop up quite a few times. I mean, the thing for me is day one sort of kicked off the rivalry because on day one, Lisa beat Fallon, whitewashed her 4-0. And everyone was like, oh, this is our, she's the real ladies' face of darts. And then, you keep looking at event 2. I mean, what have I done event 2? But Fallon won it, I believe. Am I on the right one? Yeah. And it was just back and forward again, Fallon and Dita. Lisa was knocked out earlier in that day, and then you get the other end of the people that are Fallon fans going, oh no, look at, she's doing even better. And it was just back and forward the whole, through the 6 events, and I just loved it.
Me and Zach, we went to the World Match Play at Blackpool, and when we left, I'm an analyser, and you probably know that I used to do professional wrestling before, so I read a crowd. And we left that venue and we was laid in bed that night, separate beds. I was laid in separate
You had
beds.
a giant shark in your bed.
I was laid in bed, and I said to Zach, I says, I know why darts isn't as big as it could be. And he says, what is that? I says, because nobody cares about the outcome of the result. Everyone just wants to see good darts and a good game. 180, way! Oh, he's hitting back, 180, way! You go to the football, we've scored a goal, way! We've conceded a goal, I ain't cheering that goal. That is the difference. And whenever you go to a sporting event, you want a certain outcome. Whether you went to the Anthony Joshua fight on Saturday, you wanted one of them to win.
Do you know what? That's what I felt like was great with the BDO, is there was clear divides of the people that have come along for their teammates, that have come along for their mates, and it was there would genuinely be people there rooting for one person, whereas
But isn't that what Lisa and Fallon have managed to achieve?
Yeah, I guess so.
And when we say, is it good for darts, in my opinion, that is why it's good for darts, because these two ladies have managed to achieve exactly that.
We're saying sort of good for darts, but for ladies darts, it can be the opposite way. It's great for darts as a whole, but you're saying ladies darts, it can put maybe the up and coming players off, or maybe sway them away from this sort of level. But yeah, I was just so engrossed in the whole rivalry, especially as it was sort of Lisa had the wave to start, and then Fallon sort of rode it away, and then obviously she's got the Grand Slam spot now, which is awesome to be
Just
fair.
looking at the chat box here, Wed's an 85 average rank. Obviously, an 85 average on the tour, you're looking down by the 100 to 110 sort of mark, I'd probably say we'd right down that sort of area. In fact, I've got the stats. I can pull them up here because I've got it on my computer, haven't I? Because I've got the women's series up. Let me just pull it up quickly for you.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, you'd be quite. I mean, sort of 90 doesn't put you too high, does it?
Oh, 85. You're 142. 142 there. You know, a 90 only puts you.
Ooh. My mate's
94. So.
Is not having a favourite, but just wanting to see a good match a bad thing? Good question. I don't think it's a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just not a long-term development thing. You're not going to get the most out of it.
I guess you want a following of people. I mean, I guess that's the reason they do. When the Premier League Contenders was big, they brought along someone local is to get that following, because people wouldn't just turn up to see a good game of darts. They want to support the local player, and I guess that's the narrative you want to go with. You know, people. I guess darts is one of those sports where people will turn up for the darts. You go to watch, you know, Aston Villa versus Man City, you're probably not going to have an Arsenal fan thrown in there. You know, they'll watch it on the telly and they'll go to their game. I guess that's sort of what you're saying, isn't it? You bring that following with you, and you want to bring people that support Lisa Ashton and support Fallon Sherrick to those games where they play each other, rather than.
But you take that, Brighton versus Watford. I'm a football fan. It don't really interest me, that game. I'll watch it because I'll watch any game of football. But I'd go there and I'd watch it and I'd be like, oh, that was a good goal, or that was this, that was that. But I'd sit and watch it. You fill that stadium with Brighton and Watford fans, you get an atmosphere, you get backwards and forwards, you get celebrations on goals, you get passion, you get all these things. And it just we need a bit more individuality, I think. We need to care more for one person's result. If you're watching a game to watch a good game and something else is on, you'll probably watch something else because, okay, I can watch a good game anywhere because actually all the darts that are on TV are fantastic. You know, there's so many good players. You can watch a good game of darts wherever you want. But if you really care about a player and there's a player that you really care about playing in the World Championships, you ain't missing it. You probably plan your day to make sure it happens. Right, we'll get a Chinese, we'll have a few beers when that's on. Oh, do you want to come round tonight because so-and-so's playing tonight? That's the difference. Because if it's just World Championship night 16, I'll put it on for a bit. Yeah, it's fine. I'll watch that. You know, things. Oh, it's great. Oh, this is happening. Oh, I'm losing interest. I've gained interest. Whatever it is, depending on how you feel on that day. Oh, I might go play the PlayStation for a bit now. You don't do that if your player, the person you're passionate about, is playing.
I guess that's the Fallon effect. Is what she did on the big stage kind of gave people that feeling of supporting that one player.
Billy Bonkers. I'm looking at Zach's camera. He said, "Why is there a mini Matt in there?" We're actually in the same room, you know. Just I don't know why we're doing it this way. We probably should
just makes it
face
easier, I guess, because I guess it kind of like you're replying to me where we were sat next to each other. And plus he farts. I don't really want to sit next to him. He did a rank one earlier. So. I'm going to design a Christmas dart, cracker shaped. Yeah, maybe, probably.
We've talked about some Christmas stuff, haven't we?
Yeah, we have spoken about a couple of things. I'm not going to say anything yet. I'm working on a little bit of a product right now.
Ooh. That'll be a first. He's been saying about this
I've been going on about it
50 times a day.
I was working on it till like 2 in the morning yesterday. I've been doing bits for it. I want to release it before Christmas. I don't want to say too much yet because I want to be surprised. I think it's genius, but keep your eyes peeled. But yeah, that's.
Kieran Johnson's asked me, what do I think of the county youth system?
It's tricky.
I think there's a couple of things. First of all, if anyone's got any questions, like I say, use hashtag IdgaTV and we can answer those on the thing. Use those throughout the week. We'll look at them throughout the week to make sure there's no questions coming up that you want to talk about. We need to look at the county youth system, I think the county youth system is a system I used, and when you look at it and you look at the players that I used to play with in there, Stephen Bunting, Adrian Lewis, Darryl Gurney, Ricky Evans, David Pallett, who else has come through that? Ted Everts. Who else used to play? James Wade was my same era as me. Kirk Shepherd was in that era. Kim Hybrex.
Do you think that your generation of players started later than probably this generation of players?
The JDC will definitely bring that in, that they'll be starting younger. I think my generation of players didn't have the... I mean, even when I was playing county youth, people would be then saying, I wish this was around when I was younger. And I look at what the youngsters have got now and go, I wish this was around when I was younger, the opportunities. But I think the county youth system has sort of been a bit neglected in a bit. You've got big counties that don't even have youth teams. I saw, I think it was Osty, who put that he played recently, didn't he? And I looked at it, and it's got no player. And I'm like, you can't even field the team with the amount of people that are looking at playing darts at the moment and the interest that's in the game. But how many people know about the county youth system? Everyone knows about the JDC. Everyone knows about the PDC. Everyone knows about the big stuff. But are we not really pushing enough to this county youth system? Maybe it's because the format's not long enough. We need a longer format. But I mean, when I was playing it, under 18s it was best of 3, I believe, and then the under 21s was best of 5. Maybe we need a longer format, best of 5, Maybe it needs to mimic more county. Maybe we need smaller teams instead of 7 and 5. Maybe we go 5 and 3 in terms of the system there. But I'm not convinced at the moment that enough is being done on the county youth system.
I feel like there's also loads of different things, because you've got like under 21s, under 18s, and then also there's like 10-year-olds playing county.
Yeah.
Then there's like 8-year-olds, and don't get me wrong, that's great. However, I personally think at that age, it should be things like the JDC academies and the Blackburn Youth Academy, for example. They do a really good thing. I think they call it the green zone.
Yeah.
So rather than finish on a double, they just have to get it in the zone. And I think at a certain age, that's better. Number one, because it keeps the games shorter. I mean, if you've got I don't know many insane 8 to 10-year-olds, but if you've got an 8-year-old on tops on a normal board.
We used to have a mental one who was 7.
Yeah.
He could throw darts.
And you are going to get some wonder kids, but I think the majority of them are going to be wanting just get used to getting straight, getting their numbers, and then getting out. I mean, Lauren Stocko's just signed for Mission, and they were saying in a thing that she debuted a county at 10. I thought, wow. Leighton Bennett was the same. I think he county debut was at 9, and I just think, wow, playing county at 9.
Martin Williams has just said there, it's mad travelling as well, kids travelling miles at night. Yeah, they're travelling, but as someone who used that system, I used to love that.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, we're going up. You know, you'd be at school on the Friday, and you'd be like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm going up to so far. I'm playing darts, like, up there, and it was buzzing, and it was exciting. What maybe we need is we need a bit more carrot. Maybe we need like the Mad Dart system or the WDF system to dangle a carrot and say, actually, if you top the averages on the youth county system, there's this opportunity.
Well, JDC have kind of done that. I think JDC have done a really good job on the youth. They've also split up the really talented ones. They've done the advanced tour now, I think. So they've got...
yeah, that's what we're saying.
Because people like Leighton Bennett, Harry Gregory, Nathan Kerr, there is a top level, Luke Littler.
Yeah.
I mean, half of them are averaging 90 odd, and I don't think it's always fair to stick them in with the kids that are similar age. I mean, because they're sort of at 16 to 18 maybe, and then you've got, you know, your 14-year-olds that are just getting stuck in, and, you know, I don't think it's always good to throw them in straight at the deep end all the time, but to give them a more level playing field to progress. But Yeah.
Just a couple of things, guys. First of all, just take a second out of this video just to pop below and put a thumbs up on this stream. That's the like button just underneath your box here. You'll see there's a thumbs up. If you wouldn't mind just giving that a quick click, that would be very much appreciated. Craig Woodcock, just picking out your question. You said what you got coming up over the next couple of weeks. We've got the Super Series for myself. And there's loads of other darts that we're going to be talking about in the next bit. I've been practicing so much to get ready for that.
Nice.
As you can see within the practice videos I'm putting out, and there's going to be lots more practice videos coming as well, because that's pretty much what I'm doing. I'm gym practice all the time. So I'm going to be ready for that event. So yeah, what's your next point of interest topic then, Mr. Thornton?
Next we have got the Gibraltar and the Nordic darts. They're with Euro tours basically. Obviously, the Gibraltar event, quite interesting with Mr. Gezi Price. Obviously, pulling out of the Nordic event with elbow problems, and then just completely steamrolling the Gibraltar event. Now, do you think players, if they're not feeling it, do you think they need to make excuses? For example, if maybe Gerwin was having a bad day, do you think if he turned around and said, "Do you know what, guys, I'm having a really rough time, I just need to go home," do you think he'd be ridiculed for that a little bit? Especially with the sort of not a bad man, but rough and ready type image he's got. Do you think he feels like he has to say he's injured to?
Yeah.
I don't personally think he was injured. Well, I can't talk for him, but I think from the general public's point of view, and all over social media, they were like, "Oh, tennis elbow. It took me months."
It's not tennis elbow, that's for certain. Tennis elbow is a long-lasting injury that would not suffice in that amount of time, and he would seriously be playing. Now you can get twinges. I was practicing here the other day, and I went, "Oh." And I had to sit down for an hour or two because I had a bit of a twinge in my elbow. So, yeah, you can get twinges and knocks and things. You can want to play it safe, live to fight another day, as they say with a lot of things. So you can just want to sit it out. It'd be nice to know exactly what really was that, because it'd be nice to clear it up, because the skeptics out there will now look at it and go, how can you go win a Euro Tour 4 days later if you had to withdraw from the event?
Some people were making conspiracy theories. He's
never said it was tennis elbow. That's just I've never seen Gezi say it was. No. I've seen people say it was, but I've never seen that from Gezi, and I don't believe for a second. I mean, we know Gezi works out, he goes to the gym. We know that he's been mentioning that he hasn't been training as hard recently. So maybe it's something that he picked back up again, because we've got about 6-10 weeks off, whatever it is for him. He's probably had 6 weeks off. Maybe in those 6 weeks he started going to the gym again. Could have picked up a little strain or something along that period of time. So I don't think we'll ever really know on that.
Well, the break clearly did him well. He won the thing. So, we sort of say, I think if he hadn't have won, people would have gone, "Oh, wow, I see why he had a break." But the fact that he did, I think everyone went, "Oh dear, but he didn't have an injury. He was fine. He's just won everything."
Loving seeing some people in here tonight. Hello, Charlie, Intergalactic. Nice to see you guys. Not from the bottle. How do? Yeah. The other thing that's interesting about the Euro Tour, and one of the big debates, I'd be interesting to know within the chat box what you guys think to this as well. Is the qualification criteria for the European Championships was based off of these two events, which means people are getting in that from winning one game of darts, which is going to blow the rankings completely out the water. People that are high in the rankings are going to be losing money they can't defend. People that are low in the rankings are going to be picking up money that they probably shouldn't really be picking up, and it's caused a bit of a debate. Now, some people are saying maybe we should have had the top 16 and the top 16. Some people are saying we should have had more Euro events. We should have had... Personally, obviously the people that got to the European events got through qualifiers to get there in the first place, so they deserve those places. I don't think the whole 32 fields should have been based off of that. I think maybe 16. We should have guaranteed the top 8. The top 8 should have been guaranteed into that event, because they haven't, with the top 8, they go to the European Tour, they have to win that first game or they don't get anything. So I think maybe we'd have gone with the top 8 in the European Championships. I think 16 from the Order of Merit, 'cause there's only 2 events, so I think 16 would have been more than fair. And then I think they should have done another qualifier for 8 places direct through to the finals. I think that would have been a fair way, in my view. Now, obviously, that includes a lot of work, a lot of admin, and a lot of faff, which, you know, in this day and age, we've got to keep things simple. What would you guys go with in terms of that? I can see, not from the bottom, winning one game in Gibraltar gets you in, winning one game in the other. First event doesn't. How is that fair? It's a great point, actually. So, with not from the bottom, he's pointed up on the countback rule. So if you win £2,000 today, I'll jump everyone who's won £2,000 before me, because it's done on the countback rule. So a very good, valid point there. Mr. David P180 says, "I'll stop typing, Matthew. I agree." Yeah, he thinks I've got it on the head there.
On the bottom.
Yeah, I think it's also unfair in relation. Think about it this way: if you qualified for the first Euro Tour and you got £2,000, and then you qualified for event number 3, but you missed out event number 2. And then, so you're not going to get in the European Championship finals, despite the fact you've got the same money as them, and you qualified for event 3. So you've gone through more qualifiers, but because event 3 didn't happen, and that moves to next year, you miss out, despite the fact you've done better than the person who won one game in event number 2. So I don't think it's the fairest way of doing this, and yeah, I do think that it should have been revised a little bit. I think but the way that I suggested is quite a lot. And the other thing is, this is the other thing that we've got a lot of difficulty with. When you do things that are not as it is written, on the paperwork, on the rules that we all signed up to at the start of the year, the rule book, which is like 20,000 pages long, will say the European Tour qualifying criteria will be based on the top 32 of the Order of Merit at the closure of play. Now, if you're number 32, if you're number 17, let's say you're number 17, if you're number 17 and then my idea comes out, we go, we're only putting 16 in, is there a law case there? Because I go, well, actually, these rules in black and white right here that you sent me, these are your words, not mine. I'd be going, this says top 32 getting the European Championships. Now all of a sudden, 3 weeks out for the event, you've told me I'm not in it no more. Is that a legal case? So it's probably one of the things that had to happen. Is it fair? Is it right? I don't think anyone's going to agree with it. But it's what the paperwork says, it's what the rules say, and I'm sure a good solicitor would be able to get that through court. That we've got a legal case that you should have been in that event, which is a minimum guaranteed earnings. Do you then go, well, actually, I could have gone and won it, and you open a lawsuit up for the main prize? And if one person does it, all of a sudden, bang, 16 people are going to do it. It's a lot of law cases. I get why, but I don't.
Oh.
Colberto, thank you for that. €2 donation there. On a super sticker, a dancing cat. This, by the way, is the #1 cat daddy, so he's going to be very happy with the dancing cat there.
I think it's a fox.
How is your weight loss going, Matt? Says Stephen Colbert. Well,
there we go.
As you can see, I'm getting slimmer, getting musclier, but today I weighed in at 14, so I've lost 1 stone 3 pounds, and if I can lose another pound, I'll go into the 13s. The goal was to be under 14 stone by the next Pro Tour, so I've got 2.5 weeks to lose another pound, but I want to get comfortable into it, like 13.10, 13.9 maybe, so then I've got a little bit of leeway, because when I'm away you don't eat as well, because you've got no food preparation facilities, you've got no food storage facilities, so it's all basically eating out all the time. You go out at your breakfast, then you go out eating at lunch, then you go and eat in the evening, then it becomes a social activity. So actually what you're doing tonight, oh, we're going down the Indian, oh right, I'll just come down the Indian with you then. Of course I'm going to have an onion bhaji, so I'm going to have some onion bhajis to start, then I'm going to have some naan bread, and then I'm going to have this korma and this rice, and yeah.
He did turn down the KFC today as well.
I did.
Me and Phoebe went to get our second jabs today on the way, and we thought, yeah, we've just been stabbed. KFC will help us sort that out. I said, Matt, we're coming back. Did you want anything? He said, no, I'm all good. And I was like, whoa.
I just did an hour run today.
Taking this seriously.
I did an hour on the treadie earlier, and I was like, if I have a big run, I don't really feel like eating. I don't know if anyone's had any big runs or any big activity before, but if you do like some high intensity exercise, you never really feel like eating too much heavy. So yeah,
especially later on in the evening as well. But
yeah.
Well, next thing I've got on the list, guys, I think it's definitely something that I'm very passionate about. If you join me in the live streams, is the product launches that we've had. Very, very, very popular topics at the moment, especially the battle of the dartboards.
Yeah.
A while ago, you might remember the new target board got leaked, and then it seemed a bit suspicious that then Target said they were going to have a launch on the 29th, and then Unicorn went, oh yeah, we're going to have a launch on the 28th, and the Unicorn dartboard came out, and £75, absolutely mega prices. I was a bit shocked myself. I personally know that dartboards should be going up in price. The shipping to get dartboards over now is basically 3 times more expensive.
Yeah.
The shipping crates that all the dartboards come in, they have gone so high up in price. So I don't. People have to understand that that's just the industry. That's not.
Now, yeah.
That's not anyone being greedy. I mean, Brexit has had a knock-on effect.
We did it to ourselves, guys.
Yeah.
We did it to ourselves.
But even £75, and I mean, the darts referee and Wayne Mardle had a little bit of a, not a ding dong, but there was a bit of a jibe at Jack because he did a stress test of the dartboard. He didn't review it or anything. He just see how they hold up with the Simon Whitlock points and stuff like that. And yeah, it's. I just want to know. I guess I kind of talked to the chat a little bit on this. Is I just know a lot of people were very like, wow, that's ridiculous. How can a brand do that? I won't be getting it when there's Red Dragon that give you 3 non-perfect quality boards for like £80.
Well, let's jump straight in with the stress test and things like that. One thing to get clear from the off is no dartboard on this planet that exists now or exists in the future can cope with the aggressive points. It's impossible.
They'll be damaged anyway.
Whatever you put in, it's going to pull it out. Soon as, because the point goes in, it'll get into the sisal. The aggressive points will, the grip in there will pull it out. It's impossible not to have that. So that is something we're going to have. Now, I think, like I think you said it on your live stream, the proof will be in the pudding in terms of how we get with the darts. The main thing and the main change of this board was not to live against aggressive points. It's impossible.
It's
it can't be done.
Stop us using them.
It's to it's to be the replacement for it. To say, because what the issue was the darts, or this is Simon Whitlock gets a lot of flack for the boards, and I've spoke to Simon and heard Simon talk about points many a times. The issue was that the darts boards wasn't packed tightly enough, so there was a bit soft. So when his darts went in them, they droop. So they dropped him. So he came up with, because he was telling us in Germany, I think it was, that he made darts out of Allen keys, points out of Allen keys. So they're square. So when it went in, instead of dropping, it was ideally to try and stick in. And then over time, these points became more and more aggressive that people was using, and that's what's pulling out the threads. The idea is that if we can get the boards to the point where it doesn't drop, because it's a firmer board, so the dart won't sit in and drop, that people won't need to use aggressive points. I think once the equipment gets to that point, I think there's going to be some rulings coming in regards to what is a legal point. And I think there'll be an industry approved point where they say you can't use that point in competition or in games. And I think between the DRA, the PDPA and the PDC, there'll be like a level, and they'll be like, it can't be more than this level of aggression on the point. I think that's the way forward with that. In terms of the boards, on the eye, because that's all I've got to go on at the moment, because
they look very good.
I'm not too keen on the look of the target one.
Oh yeah.
I just think it looks a little bit soft tip on the eye.
Yeah.
It looks like when you go into like a bar in Europe and they've got like the soft tip ones in there.
Oh, I think I know what you mean.
It just looks a bit like that,
Mm.
and you know, it's not that there's a wrong, and I like the fact they've got the branding going around the outside, because one of the things I hate is the branding being upside down and things like that.
It was the number
So I like
board.
the 360 brown. I don't like the yeah, it's the numbering. I'm not keen on the numbering. So I think I'd probably have to try them out a little bit to see. But in terms of the dartboards, we haven't had a new dartboard out for years, so I was really quite excited to try those
NDK
out.
Games says a good point. I thought the Unicorn board did great on Jack's video. Yes, I totally agree with you. And Jack didn't. Jack even said that with the normal points, this is the thing that is the real test: is how do the normal points work in the board to maybe warrant us not needing to use those points. For me, I use points with a bit of grip on because I touch the point. I don't use it for any other purpose. But I think, for example, the ones with the sherbety coating in, they're brutal. Any two ground crisscrossy, it's really, really difficult. Again, I can't say it's a bad board because I haven't tried it. And I think the players are going to be the biggest testers. I don't think it was a board designed for us as people at home.
No.
I think it was a board. I think it was a bit of a political board, to be honest with you, because a lot of players are moaning about the boards before, a lot. And I think the fact that they've got PDC approved on the board kind of, for me, guarantees that they've got the contract for the next, because what is it, another year ended on the contract for the boards? I'm pretty sure they'll have carried on with that contract. So
Mo's asked there about the aggressive points. It's purely, a lot of the time, for the angle of the dart. It's not so much to make them grip into the board, it's the angle in which they grip into the board.
yeah, that was Simon's reasoning, wasn't it? Anyway, and also soft spots in the board. That's what Simon was saying, wasn't it? There's soft or hard spots in the board, and I think Simon, because he has it so upright, sometimes they tended to droop, like it would go in and then go, "Rrr," and obviously Simon will want to clatter into them, sort of like that. So yeah, and then obviously that's the board battle. Again, like you said with the target board, I've seen a lot of quality issues come through today on social media. Holes around the board. I think for me the Unicorn board looks a better quality, but the target board is not a bad price. And if you like the small, I personally prefer the big bright numbers on a board, because I mean, can you imagine Jose if he can't see the numbers properly, or someone like Ryan Searle throwing at a board where he can't barely see the numbers? But I think for a home board, maybe it's great. But
I think there's always an expression in life, isn't there? You get what you pay for.
yes,
And I think now what we want to see is we want to see exactly that expression be reality. Do you get what you pay for when you buy a £75 dartboard? Do you get a better quality dartboard than if you bought a £50 dartboard, or £40 dartboard, or £30 dartboard? They're the questions that will be answered in the next 6 to 12 months.
yes.
And it'll be interesting. Maybe we'll be able to have a little chat about that again in the future.
Yeah, because I hope so. I hope maybe the players are going to give feedback. I mean, bounce was a big issue. Obviously, the board quality, the size all coming out. It was more the fact that it looked damaged over such a short period of time. Now, I think the boards are really sleek. I think Unicorn have done a good job. Is it worth the 70? That is the question that I think needs to be asked. That needs to be answered. Is it a bad board? Probably not. But is it worth spending £85? Because with shipping, it's a big item. That's what you're going to be paying. And yeah, I think it was really interesting. And personally, I think Unicorn are in a bit of trouble potentially. I think they're going very, very. They've got some of the best players in the world, but to bring out the same Dimitri darts in a nicer box with some painted rings and charge virtually £60 to £70, I thought you're gonna annoy a lot of people, especially when Dimitri doesn't use them. I think a lot of people get annoyed. I mean, Phil Taylor, we're going to see him at the seniors, but I think a lot of people get annoyed with players getting darts that don't play anymore. So it's like, well, you're obviously milking him. I mean, Taylor's not played for a while, and even with the last darts he released, he didn't use them. He used an older set. So I wonder what people's opinion is on that. Leave a comment or something in the chat. Is that something that you guys get annoyed with?
It's nice to see some people coming in as we're doing that. Dave Lemnix, nice to see you.
Dave.
I think I've got his name right now at last. Brendan Hill, Brian Nash, how do to you guys? Drop a like as you're coming in. Let's try and get those likes up. Jodie's around somewhere. She loves a like on the thing. Do you know what, right? What I'm going to do next week, what board we got up there at the minute? We've got the Unicorn
HD2.
Eclipse HD2. I'm putting in a couple of hours a day on this up here, probably putting a couple of hours a day. What I'm going to do is I'm going to track how many bounce outs I get, and if any darts are rejected, if they bounce out or whatever it is, and I'm just going to put a piece of paper on there. I'm just going to tally it all week, and I'll feed back to you. So
get a few on the ball mainly, don't we?
Yeah, so any hard spots, soft spots, anything like that, and I'll feed back that information to you. I'll record some of it if I can and try and hopefully grab a bounce out or something. And I'll feed that data back because, like I say, I'm building up to the next Pro Tour series, so I'm putting in more hours at the moment. So it'll be a good base to sort of see what's going on a practice board here in relation. Are these was just like normal store boards, wasn't they?
Yes,
like,
they're not special, you know.
Because you get your TV boards as well.
Yeah. No, these were just normal boards. But don't get me wrong, we play on this board, it's fine. I just find that it wears away a little faster than what I had before, which was Unicorn dual core Blade 5. I think that board's also a little bit softer, which I think it's good, but that lasted me virtually 2 years.
I mean, that one. I mean, I must have put some. I put
You
a
put
lot
a
of
lot.
I put a lot of hours in this last.
I mean, you group better than I do, so a board should last me longer.
And
than
that
you.
is, I mean, that really desperately needs turning now.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
yeah,
It's
starting
absolutely
to get
mashed. Mostly just the treble 20, you know, because I've been pounding the 180s. But and that's only what? That's the third turn.
Yeah. Oh, third or fourth, yeah. And we haven't had it that long.
No, and I've been doing a lot of time on that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's holding all right. It's not I've never really had a problem with unicorn boards as such.
I don't think the problem is that the unicorn board is a bad board. I think there's just probably maybe more issues.
MDK Games has asked something which I think is probably more for you, Zach. Do you guys think Winmo will release a board in their launch at the end of October?
No.
You don't see it?
If it ain't broke, you don't need to fix it. I can't see it happening. And I think it would be silly when everyone's doing the boards to have a board out. Because why? I think the fact that also Winmore, bless them, when the boards were released, they were constantly tweeting, "We Blade 5, the most advanced dartboard in the world. Blade 5, Blade 5." I saw it almost every day. Just trying to say, look, guys, look, this is a great board. So for that reason, I don't think they're going to have a Blade 6, because there's nothing wrong with a Blade 5.
I also think with equipment, we're almost becoming as a consumer very snobby. Like every launch that's come out so far, I see everyone, "Oh, that's rubbish. Oh, I wanted more than that. I wanted more than that." It's a dart. You know, what do you want it to have? Do you want it to be like go-go gadget darts, like little parachutes coming off them, like they'll just float in, or lasers shooting out the front so I can sight to. And like dartboard, like they'll come out and people go, "Oh, what? There's no new technology in that. What do you want it to be?"
Yeah.
You know, do you want like flashy lights on it or something?
What I did like about the target board is they'd taken issues that people have obviously spoke about before. Like, granted, maybe not everyone's a fan of the number board, but at the same time, the subtlety of it is good. The branding, the subtlety of it is good. Don't get me wrong, it's a smart. There's two problems there where they've gone, right, yeah, these are some problems people are having, let's try and fix those. Whether it's worked or not, I don't know. But yeah, it's definitely interesting.
Lower dart with lasers.
Yeah, do you know what? I genuinely thought about something like that the other day, actually, but see where you're aiming at. I think that'd be pretty funny. But yeah, Winmore's going to be a great one. I think also when you say about
is that the Christmas dart that you're talking about?
Well,
But laser-pen darts.
maybe I've spoiled it. No, I think that people get snobby when I think what people got to realise is that there are a hell of a lot of darts out there that are affordable. So when the big brands do a launch, they're not always going to make affordable darts because there is so many great darts out there. And when you want to push the boundary, it does become more expensive. I mean, the Target launch, don't get me wrong, the Elysians, they're not a throwing dart.
I've got a really good idea here. I've got a really good idea. This is going to involve everyone in the chat, so get yourselves ready. If you haven't chatted in here yet and you're just watching along, find a way of typing something in. What do you think is, or should be, a fair industry standard price that you'd be happy to go out and pay? Because obviously I know like the prices are changing and things like that as we've discussed. But what do you think is a baseline? Now me, I'm really tight. When I bought my own darts, £10 darts, £15 darts. That was me. I played in the World Championship with a set of darts that cost me a tenner. You know, so I'm not a good example of this. You're around the £40-50 mark.
Well, I think it depends. For me, because of my job, I don't think that a better dart is more money. I really don't believe that. I think that you may get on with a more expensive dart, but not because it's more expensive. For me, the sort of, I'm going to call it the market price, a sort of a price that I think, when you look at all darts in general, is sort of fair, and people will go, that's reasonable. It's sort of the £35 to £40 mark. That's kind of like Winmore, Target, players darts, probably more in that bracket.
Okay, the answers are coming through.
Yeah,
50,
great.
30, 35, 40 to 50, 40 to 50 euros, 40, 50 to 40, 30, 50. Yeah. No one's gone over the 50 yet.
Yeah, because I think that's where it becomes...
I think we're looking 30 to 50 here, aren't we? As that sort of baseline mark. 10 to 25 intergalactic, you're like me. Like I say, I played in the Worlds with £10 darts.
Again, I think also...
30 to 40.
If it's not got a player's face on...
That's a good comment.
Yeah, if it's not got a player's face on, it shouldn't really matter. I think take a player away from it. I think
you're going to spoil my next question here, because we're going to go for the next bit for the question. I mean, Martin's just going straight in there with the £120 ones.
You see, I bought them
for a £20 dart. Right, so with that in mind, the general theme, what we said there, would probably be the £30 to £50 mark. £50 being like, I'm really going to have to consider this now because the missus is going to get on my back. And £30 being, okay, I'll do it. And then anything under that, I'm guessing, is pretty much what you wouldn't really think. Like if there was darting off for £25, I've got to get that because that's underneath that boundary. With that in mind, what is the figure you would pay at the most for a dart? Now it could be any dart. We're not, the parachute laser dart, whatever it's going to be. What would be the most that you would pay for a dart? I'll kick it off because it was what I paid for that, £15.
Someone else is about the same thing. Again, it's not, for me, it's never been about the price of darts. I just need to feel that the dart has got that value for the money. I mean,
so what would you say is as an equipment guy, what would you pay for a dart?
I paid £100 for darts. I paid £100 for darts. You look at brands like...
Would you ever go more than that? Would you be happy to pay £150 if it really tickled your eye?
It depends. I mean, don't get me wrong. Now, I mean, in my old job, I was on a really good wage and I would have just bought anything. Whereas now I'm self-employed, I'm working for my money. I'm now going, this matters now. Where is my limit? There's different types of people, really. I mean, again, I've paid £100 for Suzuki darts, but I don't think I've got darts that are £15 and I think are better than those darts. However, I wanted to try them, and the beauty with darts is, it's not like a car. The second you've driven it off the forecourt, you lose 40% of the value. You can probably swap them with someone for a different set of darts for similar value, or you could sell them for £80. Then you've only spent £20, and that's what I really like about the darts community is, you probably lose a little bit for throwing them for 10 minutes, but you get most of your money back and you buy something else. You swap them with someone, you know. Again, Shot, perfect example. They have got world-class machining facilities, and the darts that they make look the nuts. And that's a dart where you sort of think, yeah, do you know what? That is a dart that looks worth more. Whereas you look at a dart like Dimitri's dart, it's ring grip, it's got a little bit of paint on. Granted, the box is nicer, but you're talking, what, 65 quid?
We've got there's an interesting one here. So when I changed that question from what would you pay for a dart, so when I've gone now, what's the maximum you would pay or be willing to? We've now gone up slightly,
Yes.
and we've seen some 60. We've got 75. We've got 100. 100. I think that was euros though. So we're going to the 70, the 60 to 70 mark. Yes. Some people would go a little bit more. Here's an interesting question then. Because a lot of you have gone and said now that you would be willing to pay a little bit more than where you think the sweet spot is. Not everybody has, but most people have said, I would go a little bit more if it really intrigued me. Now, when you're watching these launches, Target launch this week, we had the Unicorn launch this week, as a consumer, what do you think it would be that would make you go, that's going to make me go to that £75 mark? What is it you'd like to see? Or is it literally just you're saying, here's my 75 quid, wow me, or I'm going to buy these £25 darts?
Yeah. Well, I think if you buy the £25 darts, you've not really got an expectation. Or if you, for example, £15 darts, you buy them, if you don't get on with them, it doesn't matter, because you've only spent £15. If you buy a £70 of darts and they don't go for you, you're annoyed.
Well, here's the other thing, right? And that's why people are putting those comments into there. Yeah. I never buy shoes off the internet because all shoes come up different sizes. Yeah. So I always go to the shop so I can see the shoes and get the shoes and go, right, they're my shoes. Because I've ordered shoes before that were size 10 and they come up more like a 9. And I'm like, it's no good. So now I never buy shoes. Like, how many times will you look on the internet, you see clothes and you don't get it because you get this large muscle fit that I wear, and you get it and it's like skin tight on you, like yeah, this ain't for me.
Mr. David P.
Got away with that one, didn't I? Muscle fit.
Mr. David P. made a good point. There's value and then there's collectibles.
Nice, yeah.
Because for me, what Unicorn is becoming is a collectible brand. We know people like Dimitri, Gary Anderson, Wade. I mean, they're going to go down in history as incredible players. And people, in all honesty, Red Dragon are the same with Peter Wright. Peter Wright is an incredible player, and people are going to want to collect. We know how many darts he used, and people are going to be going, especially kleptomaniacs. I mean, granted, I was like it. I want all of his darts that he's used. Oh, those ones he used on Sunday that he averaged 110 with. I want those. They release them. Everyone buys them, and then they keep them in a case somewhere, because you know one day you're going to go, well, I've got every dart that Peter Wright's ever thrown with, which is probably like 55,206 sets.
These comments are brilliant. So Dave Lemnix has put, you ordered a set of dart from Wish. I did, that was class. Great video. But then I see different comments, like Billy Bonkers has put, nothing. A dart is just a tool to do a job. Looks are irrelevant. Yeah. But then you've got someone like Corporate Pirate who says, quality machinery.
Yes.
Oh. Now, I think a lot of this, and this is like any product, isn't it? It comes down to personal preference of what you want. I'm guessing Corporate Pirate saying things like quality machinery is probably in some sort of industry such as construction or what's the other one called? Not mechanics, is it?
Engineering.
Engineering, probably in some sort of trade like that. In which case you appreciate good things like that.
At the end of the day, the way I think of it, I used to work in the car industry. Like, all cars get you from A to B. I mean, if you look at supercars, for example, they still get you from A to B, granted a little bit quicker, but they all do the same thing. It's the same with darts. People want the Ferrari because it looks flash, and they want to say they paid a lot for it. I mean, the Elysians, for example, you're not buying the Elysians really. I mean, Tesla's has almost become a club, and I feel like Target is a little bit like that. They make darts at a certain price, and you feel part of a exclusive club almost. Especially if you've got the Elysians, you feel in that little special bracket to say, look what I've got. I've bought the most expensive darts. Check me out, and I'm not even going to throw them. Look how cool I am. And it's the same with Teslas. You know, I'm in this Tesla club. Oh, hey, it's electric. I'm not driving it, but
there you go. First thing I said, construction.
Yeah.
See, this is psychology as well. You see, you can see what people.
Yeah.
You can dig deeper. Like I say, you obviously appreciate.
Yeah. I'm not in the best. I think I'm less of a customer now.
Probably like a bit of stonemasonry.
Yeah. For me, someone said something like, "What's the difference between £100 dart and a £10 dart?" Again, things like coatings, things like certain grips. Some grips need a different tool. You then have to swap it out, stop the machine. If you've got twin coating or little grooves that are a different colour, you then got to use another process. You ship them to another factory. You bring them back. You recut them, and that's where you can understand things like that. But if it's not like that, and you feel like a company is just taking the mick out of you, that's when I think you go, oh, hold on a minute. As much as Target is making expensive stuff, they are doing fancy little things with it.
Yeah, I mean, Dave. You've got different audiences. I mean, like Dave's just put there. I only buy darts to throw. I won't keep them in the box.
Yeah.
But yet you've got darts up here that are just in the box.
Yep. Yeah.
It's completely different. And the other thing is, like, I'm a toy collector, and there'll be people that will get toys to play with, and they can't comprehend the fact that I'll put them on a shelf. Granted, they're retro toys and things now, but you know, we're so different as people, aren't we? Everyone is so different, and trying to get one audience is so tough, which is why these launches they're good in a sense that they do try and cater for many people.
Yeah, it is good. And Winmore's the next one in October. And I think for me, they're the big two. Target and Winmore are probably the biggest brands for me in the world right now. I'm including Red Dragon in with that. So I think there's going to be a good little Christmas battle coming along.
I'll get ready to put the photo up, which means I'm not going to be able to see the chat box for a second. Yes. I can see it on Zach's screen up here because I know what the next topic is, so I'm just going to get ready for it so we can go through it.
Well, the next one we're going to talk about the Grand Slam.
Grand Prix.
Oh yeah, I just read it as well.
Do you want to try it again?
Yeah, let's start again. Let's pretend we're not live. Rewind. Next up, we've got the Boil Sports World Grand Prix.
Hey, the Grand Prix. Double start, double finish.
Oh, for me, probably my favourite tournament of the year.
And I'm prepared. And there's the draw.
Oh, he's got it on there.
Just shuffle over this way a bit so you can still see me. Cool. So what we're going to see. Shocks. There's always shocks. So the first thing is with this Grand Prix format, it's a shorter format. Best of 3. In terms of sets, so first to 2 sets, best of 5 per set. So it's a short format in the first round. We've seen major upsets over the years. One of the most famous ones was probably the Painter victory over Phil Taylor. Huge victory there. But we're going to have a little look through and see where we're going here. Mervyn King and Claire Maker, I don't think you can have an opinion on that. I think there's a lot of games like this that I think you can't really have an opinion on. Just whoever wins.
Wouldn't bet on it.
They could both win that, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was 2-0 either way. Next game, I'd slightly favour Luke Humphries. I'd slightly lean towards Luke Humphries, but again, I wouldn't be surprised with any scoreline, either 2-0, 2-1, either way, but I'd go Luke Humphries in that one. Bunting Dower Gurney.
That's hard.
Yeah, this is a very good... The thing is, with these events, normally you get a good field of players, or the best field of players, really, isn't it? But the draw doesn't give you a lot of 50-50 games. Pick out of these. Ross Smith, Joe Cullen. Dave Chisnell, Mensa, which not long ago you said Dave Chisnell win it easy, but Mensa's just gone and got to 2 finals in space of a couple of weeks. Ignore that one as well. James Wade, Damon Heta. Double start, double finish, short format. Damon, more than capable of taking that.
Very similar players as well, I think. Very methodical, not too fast. I think that'll be a good game. I mean, Peter Wright, Rob Cross, maybe a bit more predictable. Rob Cross isn't in the best of form.
But can you really
But you can't write him off.
write off
Yeah.
a former world champion
Match play winner.
and say he's? I think if I had to say where there's going to be something, I'm not sure Callan Ridds is going to suit a double start format. I could be completely wrong. I'm not 100% sure that this is going to suit him.
I think Clayton is top 2 or 3 of the best double-in hitters. I think he's only had 1 Grand Prix, is he? Or 2? But he's got one of the best doubling-in percentages. I think Glenn has got the best, actually. I don't know. I'd love him to do much better this year. If you're watching Glenn, come on, mate. But Jose is a very, very tough first round. I think Jose could win it as long as his counting doesn't play up.
I don't fancy Clemens. I don't think he's been playing well for a while. And Van der Voort is deadly, dangerous.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we could get what could be seen as a mini upset there.
I think last year he looked dangerous. Well, the last Grand Prix he was
this one
getting everything.
Dimitri van der Berg, Ryan Searle. Obviously, I share with Ryan, so I'm going to be interested in the game for that reason. But if you remember last year we had a chat, I'll try and find that and put it on the channel again for this. Ryan said he loves double start, double finish, and he's been wanting to get in the Grand Prix for a long time.
Yeah.
Got in it last year. Very different, obviously, playing in Coventry after the back of a long week and things like that. Went 1-0 up against Danny Noppert, averaging well over 100 and ended up losing it 2-1. I think Ryan could be one to watch there for very interesting. He's one of the best double tops hitters. I've been playing darts,
Ages, you old fart.
20 years, 21 years, and I've played with everybody, literally everybody, and I've played everybody. Whether it's Bristow, Taylor, Van Gerwen, Barneveld. If you've heard of them, I've probably played them. Now, or practiced with them, or practiced against them, or different things. I think Ryan Searle's probably the best double tops hitter I have ever seen. And, I spend a lot of time practicing with Ryan, and I don't think there's anyone better on tops. And
I think prime Gary Anderson's the best I've ever seen. That 2015, 2016, you bet your house on it. I think Gerwin Price at a certain point is unbelievable on it as well. But yeah, Ryan is incredible on it as well. He's very clutch with it as well. Last at an end, you'd fancy him.
If you're a gambler and you're looking to take part in the Grand Slam this year as a punter.
You mean the Grand Prix?
Grand Prix. My advice would be don't. Because you can't predict that.
No, it is very, very difficult. And that's a good thing because it's the standard of darts we have nowadays.
The draw doesn't normally pan out like this. There's only 8 seeds in this event. So normally what you get is you get a few games where you go, that one, that one, that one, that one. You'll probably be able to pick as a result. You pick 5 results out of there, and I'd be certain you're going to get it wrong. It's
not a single
tough.
game I go definite winner.
I think on form people would probably pick out Jose because of how Glenn's been for the last few weeks.
Maybe.
But Glenn's just had 8 weeks to work on his game, and this is a former major winner, multiple major winner. He knows how to win, and he can certainly have found that in the 8 weeks. I wouldn't be... Jose would be the go-to guy for a pick, but you can't write Glenn off because he's had that long time at home to get things right. And, we don't know what's happened in that period of time, and he might be back to being Glenn Durrant again.
So a couple of people saying Robert Thornton, great at tops, yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, he's good, yeah.
It's such a shame to see him sort of dropping in and out of form, really, but yeah, incredible.
Darius versus Brendan, that's not going to be a very fast-paced game.
No. But I think that's going to be a belter of a game.
Standard would be good, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Darius is so good on his doubles. Very underrated as a finisher.
And Brendan Dolan's very in form.
I just don't think the double start's going to suit Callan Ridds. Like I say, I could be completely wrong, but just in my opinion and through playing him and speaking to him and watching him, he's very rhythmic and he's a very aggressive thrower.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if the constant switching is going to be. He might be one of these players that goes double 16, treble 19 to try and avoid the switches a little bit.
Yeah, Darryl Gurney won the Grand Prix doing that.
Yeah, he might be one of them. But I can't see.
So
I can't say it's a guarantee.
Who are you picking? Who do you see winning it? Sort of the person the person you think's definitely is more than likely going to win it. The person you think, watch out for them.
See, this is the thing. Normally, you'd go right, Price, Van Gogh, Peter Wright, but I think when you look at this event, it's so different.
Yes.
I will go with, based on the fact that this player can play without rhythm, which means they do not rely on rhythm. Every dart is individual, and every dart is thrown in relation to that dart's purpose, not any sort of rhythm or form or anything. And with the fact that this format is so breaking of the rhythm, I'm going to go with Peter Wright.
Ooh, interesting. Depending what darts he uses for me.
Yeah, I'll go Peter Wright.
Peter Wright's a good one.
Chat box, what are you going for? What are we going for, guys? Who's going to win the Grand Prix? I'm going to take that off so I can come back over here and I can see what's going on in the chat. And I'm looking to see who is going to win it. Dart Horse says Nathan Aspinall.
Might win it.
Mo says James Way. Tristan has gone Gizzy Price.
Oh yeah, you'd obviously go double 16.
I'll go double 16. Yeah.
Mine would be double 18. I'll tell you what, the reason why I go on double 18 is when I watched Rob Cross at the Worlds when he won, I just thought, wow, he's mustard on that. And I tried going for double 18, and now that is my favourite double. Used to be double 16, but absolutely love double 18. Absolutely love it.
So Gurney, Cullen, MVG, Price.
Yeah. Interesting. MVG. Oh, Wright versus Wade. Final
MVG. Notice how there's not as many. You asked this a couple of years ago. MVG galore. Boom, 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 boom. Price, Wright. Not many going right. Paul Heron agrees with me on Peter Wright.
I think he's just too choppy and changing at the moment. I don't think if you're chopping and changing all the time, you're not feeling confident, in my opinion.
Like that radical Mike, like that. Do you know what? I wouldn't be surprised. I'm priming for that. I'm going for it.
It was right. We were just chatting earlier, and Phoebe came in, and Matt was like, "Oh, another 180, another 180, another 180." I was like, "Oh, bloody hell!"
Yeah, it's special. I'm priming for that. I'm going for it.
Yeah,
I'm after it.
We said the other day, like these pressure games, like Matt was hitting 180s for fun, there. But then when we were doing the video, how many 180s can you hit in an hour? That's that sort of match pressure, and he still did well on that. So
the thing with that, what was so different, it wasn't so much the pressure, it was just it's all or nothing.
Yeah.
It was a 180, you either hit or you don't. And
nothing in between.
Yeah, it was just a bit frustrating as an exercise. That.
Yeah, because you don't hit a 180 when that's the point, but in a game you've hit a 140 and that's...
Or you miss the first dart and the next two are irrelevant. I don't like throwing irrelevant darts.
Yeah.
So, it's,
Cross beats right. Oh, interesting. It'd be good to see that. Yeah.
Cool, yeah. Nice little chat again there, guys. So, like I said, we'll do this again next week. We'll do an end of the week chat where we'll pick up all the big topics of darts and what's going on. I will clip this show, so if you've enjoyed this, come along and tomorrow, over the weekend, I'll clip it down and I'll put the videos out and I'll put them in and show you basically things to chat about. Come along, drop a comment in there as well so you can join in the chat on the videos as well. I'll break it into the categories, so I'll be like, oh, women's series, this, that, the other, so you can come back and watch back these chats and
tweet us in the week if you want to see certain stuff. Tag us. Oh, look at what we've seen. Tag me and Matt, and we'll chat about it. We'll write it down.
Yeah. Because like I say, this is all about just coming and having an opportunity to have a forum, have a room where we can sit and chat darts, because that's ultimately what we all like, and we all love darts. So, yeah, like I say, chuck us in on the social medias. Mine are across the bottom. You'll probably see me tagging Zach in them all the time, at Thornton Darts. Or you'll see me showing photos of him dressed like a mermaid. Have a great weekend, guys. Like I say, I will clip these out and put them out. We'll be looking forward to some FPL over the weekend as well for all you involved in fantasy football as well. Cheers, guys, and we'll see you all soon.